Okay, this is an impromptu redo of the live that I did yesterday because we had storms and everything, and my stream kept cutting out, and I kept getting messages on my computer, warning messages that was saying that the connection was unstable. So we're gonna redo this, and let me grab a drink real quick. Hang on just a second. And if you're in the chat, go. You can go ahead and start um, chatting. I'll be right back. I don't know. I didn't listen to. Oh, thanks. I just got another message. Connection unstable. Oh my god. Okay. So I didn't listen to anything yesterday that I did because I didn't have time. So I don't know when it cut out or whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and pretend that didn't happen. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in, and I'll try to follow the chat along. Sometimes I can't, but I will try. And I have allergies, and that's why my throat gets real dry. So I have to have a drink here. I take antihistamines, and that really dries everything up on some days. And then on some days, it doesn't really matter. Okay. So I titled this live The Edge of Justice because we're all on the edge of our seats wondering if justice will ever conquer this case. It just seems to drag on and on. But that's what happens when somebody's wrongly accused. That's why we have people in prison for 27 years before they're released, because justice is slow. And hopefully in Rick Allen's case, I hope everything goes well and he doesn't have to stay in any longer, because one day in prison and somebody who's innocent, 1 hour is too long. So we're kind of in the waiting game right now. And hopefully we get justice for all the victims of this crime, because Rick's a victim, Abby's a victim, Libby's a victim. And this case did not bring justice to any of those victims. In fact, what it did was create more victims. As we see, Rick's wife, Rick's family, now all of them have had to be subjected to this insane attack on this man who did nothing. And everybody had to just sit back and watch this and wonder how the jury came to that conclusion that they did, as the whole world watched. And I say the whole world because people from all over the world were reporting on this case and bringing out some of the injustices that they saw that were done in a country where we're always throwing around terms like civil rights and constitutional law, because they know what happened in Alan's case was a gross miscarriage of justice, just like we do. And again, I asked the jurors, who the hell did you see on the bridge? Who the hell did those witnesses see on the bridge? and on that trail that day, because the person that every single one of those witnesses described as bridge guy did not look like Richard Allen. So why did they think it was him? Didn't they hear him in his interview say that he was driving the other car, not the black one that day? Didn't they hear him say he was already gone by 1:30? So if it was the bridge guy video that convinced them, what was it specifically about that video? Was it the hair, the jeans, the boots? Because Richard Allen said he wore tennis shoes that day. He said he owned boots, but he said he was wearing tennis shoes that day. Was it the face in the video that convinced you? Was it the walk? Because we heard the ISP expert say the video was enhanced. Do you know what that means? They explained some of it, but do you know what that means? That means they couldn't make out anything in the video. So they kept enlarging and using things like blur and unblur tools. So you have an AI algorithm playing with the video and then present it as evidence. That's fucking weird. I have a shorts video on my channel of Trump saying I'm the biggest, baddest motherfucker of all time, and how the last time he tried to fuck with me, I had him hogtied and kissing his own asshole. Now, is that real? Well, it looks real to me. Looks real to me. So not every video we see is real. Not every printed off screenshot of a photo taken of a computer screen is real. That's kindergarten stuff, guys. The picture of Alan's car that Mullen took, that was presented in the exhibits, that car that he took at the CVS in the parking lot where Rick was at work, could that actually be the car in the photo? Like, was it superimposed on the screenshot picture? Is that why he took the photo of the car there? And then later they took one whenever they were gathering evidence. I mean, I don't put anything past these people. I only make that claim based on the fact that there are so many inconsistencies about that video as far as the times and how a UPS driver gets to the store at 1, but the tape says 1:06, and so the tape is off by minutes. Why wasn't that argued? Is it because someone could say, well, the UPS driver could be off a few minutes? Like, it could have been 1, he just, or it could have been 1:06 and he just thought it was 1. Okay, that's true, but it doesn't explain why half an hour later the video is off almost an hour for Kelsey's car, and even before the UPS driver, Trenton, arrived. The video was about an hour off, even before he gets there. And then it's only 6 minutes off when he's there, and then it's another almost hour off again after he leaves. Did Trenton, is that an anomaly? Did he go through some weird Rosenthal-Einstein bridge when he made that delivery? And by Rosenthal-Einstein, I mean a wormhole, because this case is wormy as fuck. Now, in case you didn't catch Grady's Live with Christine, I would advise you to do that, because in her interviews, she does give some info, but it's really only what was said in trial and things we already knew, but she revealed a few things that are now very clear about the investigation. She spoke on Grady's Live about their fact-finding mission in Richard Allen's case. She said in order to do this, they had to go through that one hard drive of tips that the defense gave Jensen's firm. I'm assuming to sort out the tips and if they were legit in order to bring a rebuttal to anything the prosecution claimed. Like, if there was a tip where a person had cameras outside their house that maybe caught movements of their neighbor, Richard Allen, that day, and did that person turn over that footage to the police that were investigating Allen? Did the person also make copies of their footage? Did the person also speak to the FBI and the ISP? And on what dates? Did the police return their surveillance footage? And do they still have it? Those would be good questions to know or to ask to find out what happened. Now, I'm going to look at the chat for a second. Yeah, critical thinker. Thank you. I kept getting pop-up messages during the whole thing that was talking about my connection being unstable. Every time I tried to do something. That's why I was, like, so distracted because I kept having these pop-ups come up, and I'm trying to read them, and I'm trying to read the chat, and I can't get nothing to work, and so anyway, yeah, we're redoing it. Anyway, and I've gotta take another drink, just a second. So Christine spoke on Gritty's Live about their fact-finding mission in Richard Allen's case. She said in order to do this, they had to go through that one hard drive of tips, like I said, that Jensen's firm received from the defense. I don't know if they would have had any information about that video in there, since it was just tips they were supposed to go out and look at. But when she said they were booted off the case, she actually preferred that because the firm that hired them, or whatever their duties were, they were supposed to find information in those tips that would back up the defense for any claim that the DA had. And that wasn't really her thing. And I'm like, what? That's weird. But she explained that by talking about how they normally operate, by contacting people and trying to find out what happened in the crime and who knew what about the crime so that it could be solved. So then I'm thinking, okay, now we know why the defense was left hanging, because these so-called investigators, or whatever they were, because they were out there going in all these different directions trying to find something to solve the case. However, Indiana says this case is already solved. These are the things that we think will prove our position. So go out and see what you can find on these particular things. That's what private investigators do. They do their job that they're hired to do, or whatever your contract was, or whatever the agreement was. Like the Hoosier Harvest Store video, we all know that the DA says that's Alan's car and he drove by at that time, but really that black blob in that video, it could be anybody. And these vehicles in the video, they may not all be black or white, because we see in the trial transcripts, Sarah Carbaugh identified her own car on the video, and then they present it as an exhibit, and it's fucking black. She said she drove a red one. The screenshot pictures are in color. So why does it look like all of the cars driving down the road are black? Maybe that needs looked into. Is the video accurate? Is the time accurate? Date accurate? Where's the device that recorded the video? Was it seized for metadata? Was it analog or digital? Or is all I have is a screenshot off of Mullen's phone that went in and took pictures of the video 2 to 5 years after the crime? How is this a piece of evidence? Whether the footage or the device or the screenshot off of Richard's car How is all these things authenticated? Because if you go and take pictures specifically of Richard Allen's car, like they did, Mullins' photos show up again. Oh, and by the way, that exhibit looks like an actual photograph and not a screenshot of a photograph. Was that photo of Allen's car in some way, shape, or form superimposed on that video? We didn't see a video. We just saw pictures. That would be easy to do. Like, was that photoshopped? Was the pic that Mullen took on his phone compared to the screen on the computer where the video was played for others? And if so, did they match up? Is that how it was authenticated? Was all that looked into? Did the FBI look at that? Did the ISP? We know the FBI came out and signed some documents that talked about that video, said it was accurate, blah blah blah. We looked at it, and yeah, it's the video's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, where's the video? We didn't see a video. We just saw screenshots. Did you see something different than we saw? We don't know. And if you look at the signatures on the where the FBI signed off on stuff, the man who signed for that saying that everything was accurate and true on that video, um, why does his signature look different on another document that he signed? All of that's weird to me. Like, you usually sign your name the same way. Not exactly the same on different documents. It won't match up exactly, but you at least make the first letter, the first capital letter in your name the same usually. Or you end your name if it's a Y or if it's like an I or S. You usually end that the same way. So, who authenticated the video? This man? Okay. How do we know that? Well, we have a paper here that says he did. Did we not talk to him? Are we just given a paper from the state saying, yeah, it's checked out okay? And then, if all of that is true and accurate, that still doesn't match the screenshots. The screenshots are something different. That's from another device. So, all of these things just need looked into. I think it's weird. And I'm not saying that like it's a tinfoil hat conspiracy or anything, because these things happen in different cases. In cases where they think they got their guy, but they don't have enough evidence, but this right here will, close the case. That's what they do. So, sorry, I'm taking another drink. And I'm trying to read the chat too. And everybody that made it in, I'm glad you were able to come back in today, because yesterday was kind of a shit show. Let's see. Okay, sorry. My throat's just really dry. So I'm like looking at all these things and I'm wondering, can we trust what we hear and what we see in this case? Because those things needed investigating. And maybe next time this pair of fact finders can investigate how to do an investigation, or maybe start with investigating what the requirements are to do private investigating, and maybe investigate what a gag order is, because a gag order doesn't prevent you from doing your job. I mean, goddamn. Christine said there was so much they weren't allowed to do because of a gag order. Oh, really? The gag order is it's a muzzle on the mouth, not a straitjacket on the brain. So if some random dude in February you know, 2025 claims, I'm a PI. And the gag order means I literally can't ask anybody anything. They're either A, lying for clout, or B, too chicken shit to talk to people privately, or C, not actually working for the defense team at all, or D, all of the above. Because the internet loves a dramatic dipshit. Bottom line for the simple folk here, gag order equals no public blabbing, not defense is forbidden from investigating. So they could investigate things just fine. They just couldn't turn it into, amateur journalist hour and put up a podcast about all these things people said when they talked to witnesses. That's what they couldn't do, and that's what they were used to doing. A gag order means you can't leak things to the media or make things public. I don't know what made her say what she did in that interview, but it was just wrong. And she didn't elaborate either. And as Erica herself has stated in her last podcast, like I said, I've only listened to the first one and the last one, and it was really hard to get through those because of the trash talk and nothing about Delphi in there. Really. It's all about me, and look what they did to me. And it's ridiculous. So I agree. Words do matter. Language matters. Communication matters. So why was the defense left hanging on some of these things? You don't have to go out and do a family tree. Erica was griping about that. Like, I don't have time to do a family tree. I'm out there trying to find blah, blah, blah. You compare notes, and I have another unstable warning popping up. Am I still on? Did my stream cut out? Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Okay, it just cut out for a second. Oh my God, I was about to just go ape shit on this computer. Okay. Um Anyway, so I'll just repeat what I was saying. Erica was talking about not having time to do a family tree, and they were questioning about why didn't you do a family tree, and she was saying, they had other things to do and they couldn't be building family trees on everybody they talked to. And it's like you find out who, the witnesses that were up there, you find out if they were minor at the time when they were questioned, you find out who their mom was because their mom would have been interviewed. And what did she say at that time? Is she saying the same thing? Interview her again. I mean, I don't even know why that has to be stated like this. Duh, learn. You don't have to do a whole family tree. No one even said that. You don't have to know who the witness's grandpa is, but it might help if you find out that their grandpa retired from working with an ISP trooper, or that this witness that was driving by that day has a step uncle that was seen on the only trail cam talked about in court, or another family member of that same witness was the one to find the bodies and is also a witness at trial. Okay, get it? Jesus. It's not rocket surgery. And yes, I said that on purpose. So the minor might have given information to her mom that day. So from my perspective, blaming a gag order on anything or not doing a family tree, it's all ludicrous and laughable, except Richard Allen ain't laughing. So it all depends on who you can trust out there. I mean, my idea of trust is, or my definition of trust is like, it's watching someone repeatedly not fuck you over when they easily could have. Okay? Real trust gets built in the boring, unglamorous trenches. People that say that they'll do They'll do something for you, and then they go out and they fucking do the thing. No excuses, no 11th hour ghosting. That's somebody you can trust. Somebody that knows your ugly secrets and they don't weaponize them the second they're mad at you. That's somebody you can trust. May not like them, you may be mad at them right now, but that's somebody you can trust. When shit hits the fan, they're the one that is still standing there with the map instead of sprinting for the exits. They're the ones that treat wait staff and Uber drivers and exes and cashiers and randos on the internet the same way they treat you when you're watching or when you're listening. Consistency over time plus zero hidden knives. The only currency that actually matters. That's trust. Everything else is just it's performance art. And those people go out and try to make grand gestures, but that's just cheap confetti. They may try love bombing you, but that's nothing more than a future war crime. Some may swear they will die for you after knowing you for 3 months. That's called mania, not trust. And when they say, I'm an open book, followed by 47 red flags waving in formation, all that gets you is a hardcover edition of Bullshit Volume 1. And it just seems like that's all we've gotten from that crew of investigators or whatever, fact finders. It's the fact finding team, the dynamic duo. And so the brutal truth is most people don't want to hear, they don't want to hear that you have to earn trust from someone who's already decided you're not safe. You can be Mother Teresa with a side of Jesus, and if their trauma goggles are permanently welded on, you're still getting the side eye. Because that's how they see everything. Everything is it's a personal to them. The flip side of trauma goggles is even uglier. Some people will hand you blind trust on day one, like it's Costco samples, then act shocked when the person turns out to be a regular flawed human instead of the flawless savior they projected onto you. So, how is trust actually earned? The same way rust is earned, very fucking slowly, one microscopic layer at a time, through thousands of tiny non betrayals until one day you realize the structure is solid enough that you don't even think about testing it anymore. And the second someone starts demanding it instead of letting it accrue naturally, that's when you know it's already dead in the water. And the only people who win that way are the ones selling self help courses about rebuilding trust in 30 days or your money back. Hey, spoiler alert, they keep your money, always. There are times when we are compelled to place our trust in people in positions of authority, like judges and police and ministers, media and doctors, but that also spills over into our everyday lives, our spouses, our family, and our friends. And still, that trust has to be earned. Just because you love your family or you love someone or you really like them or you think they're a good, loyal friend, that doesn't mean they get a pass on just not earning our trust. For example, growing up, I had a brother, and you know which one you are, that I swear was Caligula in a past life. You didn't ever know if he was telling you the truth or not. And so we had to like double check everything he told us when we were growing up. He just had like wild, fantastical stories. We had to do that because the things that he told us, if we talked to a friend the next day and repeat what he said, and then they come back and say, that never happened. Here, let me show you what really happened. I was there too, and I have the pictures. Here, look at them. Then they prove their story. They prove that what we were told was originally false. What we were originally told was false. Well, we end up looking like idiots who placed our blind trust in someone that didn't deserve it. So it's a protection for yourself as much as anyone. Just be mindful of who you're trusting with your information. And we all know that when Christine's husband was evicted from the house, that they picked up all of these files, and I thought she had said they took her computer, but when I was reading the documents and stuff, it looked like they had taken just files and files and files of people's information the police took because she just had them just laying out. They were just there. People's like private information. So, where did that go? I mean, the people that trusted them, I mean, I feel bad for them. And it's just this case. There's so many trust issues in this case when it comes to those investigators because they made this case just they turned it into a theater of absurdity. And we're out here trying to bring awareness to Richard Allen's case, and then we have people like them that are really just slinging mud, just throwing dirt at people. They just want to talk about the dirt they have on people or that they think they have on people because they don't really investigate shit. They just come up with these crazy things in their brain that they think makes sense, but everybody else is looking at them like they're a couple of dumbasses. So, yeah, I can see how you got booted off the case. I can see how Jensen Investigations was fired or removed or whatever because nobody was bringing the defense anything. So if you were working for the defense and you're not bringing them anything, and it was right after Richard Allen was arrested. Did I cut out again? Because I got a message. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep going because I never know if this thing's just cutting out for a minute or what. Um, and that's a good time to take another drink. So, building up trust in people, that crap takes a long time. So, it matters how you keep people's information. Try to keep it from out in the open where people can just read it or find it or whatever happened. That whole house thing was weird. And in the Delphi Dirt podcast, the last one that Erica did that I heard, I don't know, maybe she's got another one now, but she had posted a receipt because she was like, everybody wants these receipts. So here they are. And she posted this receipt of, this is a receipt of Pat Cicero in my house just like 4 days before he was on the stand. So she's trying to link, she's trying to link herself into this conspiracy, that's all about her. And as far as the house, the reason why he was there, it was an eviction. And the date that was signed, it says 10/24/24. We know Pat Cicero, and he signed it as a deputy. We know that he was in court right after that. And so that does on the outside look like, hey, maybe she has a legitimate gripe here I mean, that's what I was thinking at first. And then I went back and looked at the receipt she presented, and then I went to her file and I went to the lawsuit on my case and read the whole thing, and this thing was I have the whole thing right here, and I'm gonna post that because she cut everything out except for the bottom. But, the complaint was filed March 5th, 2024, and it says, "At that time of March 5th, 2024, you had not been making payments for a while." So he was trying to do a eviction or like a foreclosure because I think you were doing a lease to buy. Defendant breached the contract, defendant paid or failed defendant p failed to pay as agreed. And I'm just gonna repeat that since I got another thing pop up. Defendant failed to pay as agreed. So how long had that been going on before this man had to go and file paperwork, and it finally got filed March 5th of 2024? In this case, I followed it through and I read everything, and, you say part of your defense is the house was left like that to you, and you couldn't the way that the video shows all of these things that was wrong with the house and the dead cat and everything, you said that's how it was left, and, you were really the video didn't focus on the areas that you had, you know, fixed and put money into. Well, the stuff that was shown on the video, if you moved in like that and it was still like that 2 years later, year and a half later, what the hell? That's weird. Especially since you claimed that you spent all this money on stuff to clean it up and fix it up. So that doesn't make any sense. And then you say in your paperwork he started refusing to take money in October from you. Why? I don't know. It's just your documents don't really make a whole lot of sense. You do tell about how this guy has a kid that CPS or something has had to lots of things that don't really refer to an eviction. So I can tell that you did those documents yourself. But um as far as that receipt you showed for your husband having to be removed 10/24/24, yeah, that is correct, and it has Pat Cicero's name on there. He had to come because he was a sheriff at LaPorte County at that time, or a sheriff's deputy, I mean. And that's who serves these things. That's who serves evictions. So he came with the owner of the house, and the reason why they had to come there in the first place was because you were foreclosed on in September and you still wouldn't leave. You were still trying to squat there. So a whole month later, it was actually, I think, over a month later, they come and have to force you out of the house. I think your husband was the only one there at the time. But yeah, and you know, that's who serves these things is the sheriff's office. And I'm sure the owner, even if they didn't have to serve you to get you out, I'm sure the owner would not want to come over there by himself to have you all removed, to tell you to leave. I mean, it's obvious you weren't leaving. Why you'd want to stay there in that hovel is beyond me. But you claim he just wanted the house back. That's all. You put all this money into it and he wanted the house back. I can't trust anything that you say. I can't trust you. I can't trust that what you're saying in your podcast is real because these things that you're presenting as receipts, you're not showing the whole thing. You're not presenting the whole story. You're just making up some sob story for people to feel sorry for you to somehow compare you to Richard Allen, that you're in the same boat as Richard Allen. I'm sorry, honey. Um, you you are just like a con man. You say you've worked at all these places. If you've always had a job, why are you always getting evicted? Why do you never have money to pay any of your rents on any of the places that you've lived? Why have you been foreclosed on more than once? If you had all these jobs and you're in charge of in the paperwork it said a multi-million dollar account that you were in charge of. How come you couldn't pay your rent? Or if you really did have the job, why'd you leave? Were you fired? Even the radio stations that you worked on. I can't find any proof that you were ever there. And you said you worked your way up to general manager. And there is a general manager listed for the radio station that you worked at. And that man was general manager until 2021, the same one for all these years until he died. He was the general manager and he was the owner of the radio station, this little bitty radio station in Big Spring, Texas. So, when were you general manager of that? I didn't see you listed in there anywhere, even when I went back to all of the old web archives and Wayback Machine and everything. I never saw you listed there as working there. And you're like, everybody wants to see my receipts. This is why. Because nobody believes anything you say. We can't trust what you say. So I will put the receipt that you showed just the bottom portion of, I'll post the whole thing so people can see. I mean, it's public info anyway. Some people just don't know how to go and find it. But once they do, once they read the whole thing, it's like, oh my God, this person is a mess. And I'm not trying to blacken your name or anything. I'm just saying this is all public info. This is just the public info anybody can find out if they want to. If they want to find out anything, if they want to know if they can trust you, this is how you do it. And I wouldn't have talked to you if I was a witness or whatever in a trial. I'd be like, I don't know if my info is going to end up on the internet later in a episode of Delphi Dirtbags or what. So anyway, I think that all of these people that have come together to try to stir up trouble and cause chaos in this case, they've been there from day one. Like Erica, she's proud of having worked with law enforcement to give them the tips to arrest Richard Allen. That was on the Court TV episode that Erica Morse didn't want anyone to see, and so she did a copyright strike on Shabugs to take that video down because she's saying in that video on Court TV she helped law enforcement arrest Richard Allen, that she worked with them. She gave them the tips that they needed to get him arrested. And that Jason Jensen guy had been on there And he wanted to hire her after that. She had said in another interview that it was that time she met him, he wanted to hire her. If you think this guy's if you're out there working, did Kathy know any of this? I mean, I keep asking that. I still wonder, does she know any of this? And how you had her husband arrested? It was you were proud of that fact. You were on court TV. Hey, everybody, look at me. Look at what I did. I had Richard Allen arrested. It was my info that got him arrested. I've been working on this for a long time. And whatever. The only thing that I think that you're good at is promoting yourself with lies. Because that would have had to have been a lie, right? If now you're going to go work for the defense and you can have this conflict of interest or what? And I say that because in your podcast you said words matter, and they do. And like when you were talking about the having to leave your house, and it was this grand conspiracy with Pat Cicero. That was something that had been going on for a long time, as you can see in the public documents, and you're finally foreclosed on a long time later in September of 2024, and you still won't leave the house. And then you leave these files out where somebody can just grab them. I mean, I don't know if you were working for the prosecution in the beginning, and you're trying to help arrest him and everything. Did you ever stop working for them? I mean, did you leave this stuff out on purpose for someone to grab all this info? And I mean, your own personal info. It's not like what you were given from the defense. It's like your personal info that you took, your personal notes that you were making about the case. So words matter. And that just, when I saw that video, no wonder you had a copyright strike on it. Even though I don't know, I guess you worked for Court TV or something, or you own Court TV or something, because unless you have a work that has been submitted to the copyright office, how do you claim a copyright on something that you never copyrighted? That's why Lauren Matthias, that's why her whole thing failed. Because she didn't have anything in the copyright office to show she had a copyright on something. So I know it's just a tactic. It's like a bullying tactic you accuse other people of doing. But that's all you are, is just a big bully. What do you have to show for it? Nobody believes you. The things that you say are ridiculous. You're not bringing any awareness at all to what's going on with Richard Allen. You're just trying to bring awareness to things that you think happened to you. In the Richard Allen case, you don't matter. You are irrelevant. You and the people that want to get together and cause this chaos and stir up trouble, you guys, that's all you're doing. You're not doing anything productive. You're trying to divert everyone's attention away from what really matters, and you're trying to make people have to you're making wild claims about people and they come back, "Huh, no, that's not true. Here's what happened." Okay, now they're having to defend themselves instead of continuing their YouTube content on bringing awareness about Richard Allen's situation and letting people know. This was a miscarriage of justice. There was there was a conspiracy because you had people working together to either enter fraudulent documents into the court record or sabotage some of the evidence, like tampering with evidence, like all those tapes, all those all of those interviews that were done at the very beginning of the investigation, they're all gone, right? That's what we keep hearing. And some of them are gone from 2 different places where they did these interviews with the camera. Okay, I don't know how that happens, but where's the proof that something happened? You say you Mullen said he called China to try to get, info on how to fix this because something had been, deleted and then but he could get it back, but it didn't have any audio. And he had called China about this on how to do this troubleshooting. Okay. What date did you call? Where is proof from, like when you make a phone call, there's always evidence that you made a call somewhere. And a lot of times, police departments record their phone calls. So where's all that? Showing the date and time you called to try to troubleshoot this when you found out. And if all of that stuff has been deleted, what about the other cases that you guys had? Other cases where you were trying to, um, other cases where you've arrested people and you've asked people to come in and talk to you about their cases. So you had to let those cases go too because you lost all the interviews and everything? I didn't see any evidence of that. Seemed like you guys were still putting people in jail and still had your evidence, your interviews and stuff. So somebody needs to come in and investigate. But I'm not talking about any clowns or anything. I'm talking about like the DOJ, which at this point, who can even trust them? So I would say anybody that has any information about this case and these clowns are asking you to give it to them because they're going to go to the FBI with it. The FBI cannot look at this case because it is a state case. The state says, this is our case. We've already tried this in court. This man was convicted and it's a case thing. It's a state thing. So the FBI, anything that you give them is going to be turned over to ISP, the state, and then they will decide what to do with it. So probably your best, if you have information about some corruption and stuff, maybe you could go to the New York Times or a newspaper, a big newspaper that will do some looking into it. They have resources and actual real private investigators, not public investigators, that go in and find out things that can collaborate. So, and see if your story is, bullshit or not. The first thing I thought when I came across this case, what got me interested in it was when I read the Frank's memo and then I saw the the PCA, because I was like, this is bullshit. I don't even what what judge with integrity would sign this, right? I mean, it's like, oh, I'm gonna sign this, and oh God, I'm recusing myself. I'm gonna get in trouble. I signed this. And then another special judge comes in that tries to take over the case and tries to sweep some issues like that under the rug on you working with, Tobe on filing safekeeping orders and stuff like that, and putting this man in a prison under an alias at first, or moving him around jails under an alias at first. I mean, arrests are public record. It seems like you use an actual person's identity whenever you did this. What's that guy's name? Craig Renthal or something like that? Fake name that you put Rick in jail under his name. That was an actual guy. You stole that guy's identity. It looked like that guy was arrested for something that he did. If people are reading the public documents coming in. So, and then you moved him from jail to jail, and he didn't even know that his wife had hired an attorney. This man has an attorney. And you had him, and you knew this, and you had him before the judge asking for a public defender. You guys are sketchy as fuck. So when you find out all these things, how can you trust anything that you say? That's why officers must be honest. If you can't trust them, if they're not trustworthy, then they don't need to be an officer or a sheriff or a deputy or a judge or a DA. If they're out there doing stuff like that. I couldn't believe that this guy had an attorney. And then you got him before the judge and he's asking for a public defender because he didn't know. Well, he might not have known, but you guys fucking sure did. Because that attorney was sending you emails and you were responding. Oh my God, I got another warning. This guy he sends a letter through the federal mail system. And you guys have at the courthouse a specific person who takes the mail and makes sure that it's delivered to the person that it is addressed to at the courthouse. That's the way it works. A specific person, that's their job, to make sure that mail got into the hands of the person. It is the postal service, it's their job to make sure that the mail got to the address. So, who returned, whenever that letter was sent to Judge Gull, who returned that letter and then moved Richard Allen to another jail so that letter didn't go to the next jail. And then by then, now all this time has gone by, and you have it right there on the envelope, the dates of when everything was done. Now all this time has gone by. Now it's like November, 9th or 11th, that letter finally made it to Judge Gull. Was it like the 9th or the 11th that it finally made it to Judge Gull? Because why was it sent back is my question. Even if you forget all the rest of it, of the letter going here and there, returned, whatever. Why? The letter was to Judge Goal or the judge on the case. So it should have been delivered to the judge. Why wasn't it delivered to the judge? Why the person at the courthouse that's their job to make sure that the judge gets the mail, why didn't she get it? Or the judge that he saw whenever he went and asked for a public defender, but he already had a lawyer. Whichever judge. So that's my question. Why was it returned in the first place? Was it just because you knew that you were going to be shuffling him around and that this document was going to get lost in the shuffle? And because it was addressed correctly. And now it's got to go back through everything and send it again. Oh, okay. Well, now he's in the prison for a safekeeping order. And you're saying that he's suicidal. So that's why you took him. Really? Is that why? Because at first you said it was because you couldn't keep him safe from the bloodlust. And now we're saying, well, it was because, we had to put him on suicide watch. So we had to take him to the prison and, do it. Okay. People that want to commit suicide or ask or say that they want to, or I should say unaliving, I guess, but aren't they usually taken to mental hospitals and evaluated if they really have a problem? Why would anybody let prison guards watch over someone that they're worried might do that? Aren't they afraid they might lose their job if the person, does the deed? That's weird. Am I back yet? Because, oh my God. Okay, good. Because this thing's like fucking driving me nuts. Look, I live out in the middle of nowhere and I had to do all kinds of stuff just to get 2 bars of signal in my house. And that's all I have to do my live stream with. So that's why it sucks. So that's why it keeps going in and out, I guess. But on everything else, on my phone and stuff, it shows I have like full bars, and that's weird because I hardly ever have full bars. Maybe that's what the problem is. I finally got a connection and my computer doesn't know what the fuck to do. So what was the last, if somebody can tell me what was the last thing you heard before I went out? And I hope the chat is working. Oh my gosh. Oh, nice. Nice one. Okay, so was I talking about Richard Allen being put in solitary because of his, sorry, my dog's barking. Well, anyway, I think I'll just go ahead and, oh, is that what I was talking about? Okay, because, okay, now you're going to hear my dog like go batshit over here because my husband's coming in. But, Okay, he let him out. So, yeah, not being sent to medical. Okay. Because the pamphlets and everything that the prison gets, those actually say that 66% of the people that are put in solitary develop um, these tendencies. So if you already have that tendency, why would you put them in solitary? So that they could go ahead and just finish the job, is what I'm guessing. I don't know. So that's uh that's pretty serious. It kind of seems like you wanted him there, or the prison wanted him there so that he would just lose his shit. And I think it's weird that everything that Ron Logan said in his confession to Reese Davis, everything that he said, and then it gets, hey, everything that he says, Reese Davis puts into a letter and mails to the DA. The DA gets it and it's like, this is bullshit. This didn't happen. This didn't happen this way. But then whenever those things come up, as far as what we're told about what Richard Allen said, those things, okay, now he believes Richard Allen. And those are the same exact things, like Ron Logan said he was drinking. Ron Logan said he used a box cutter in those things. But the DA didn't believe anything then. Only when Richard Allen supposedly says it. So that's weird. And yeah, in the confessions, the only time that he confessed was when he was during this period of psychosis. And he would say things like he had shot them in the back and then buried them, along with this confession, and that he, killed his grandchildren and that type of thing. Well, was any of that true? So why are you picking apart the parts that you want to keep and then not wanting to talk about the other things that he said? Like, did I call my dad this morning? Because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Does that sound like somebody that really knows what they're talking about? He cheated on a cigarette? Really? That's the guy that you're going to say, okay, now this, finally, we got him. That's just weird. So, now that my husband's home, I think I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. And hopefully I can figure out what's causing the stream to be unstable and maybe just get that fixed in the meantime. But I do have a video that I'm going to load later. And it's going to be, oh, my dog's sneezing. It's going to be a video about, it's going to be a video showing an interview with Erica Morse. And that, I don't think they can copyright strike the one that I'm going to show. So anyway, I'll get that loaded later. And I'll put up a notice beforehand the next time I do another live stream on this. I know the one yesterday was pretty crappy, so I went ahead and changed it to private because I didn't even get a chance to listen to it to see where I was cutting in and out. And so I just made it private because anybody that clicks on it, they're not going to know what the hell's going on. And anyway, I'll post instead of doing another impromptu like this and nobody knows, um, I'll post the time and everything. So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and let you go. And I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. And I'll post that video later tonight. And like I said, as far as the people that uh, going around slinging mud at other content creators or dirt or whatever you want to call it, those that just seems like paid opposition to me, and it seems like they're just trying to divert your attention away from what really matters. And I put the link up to the case about Richard Allen and where you can find out all this information about him and the information on his appeal and updates, which is rickallenjustice.com. So if you want to learn more about this case, I would suggest going there first and reading about that. And maybe if you're somebody that thinks he's guilty, maybe just look up some of these things that we've been discussing and see if you still think that after you read for yourself in the transcripts and the public documents. Make your own mind up and see what was it really that the jury thought that this was the guy. Because this isn't the guy. This is so not the guy. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. And I will chat with you all later. And thanks for stopping by today.